As for the opposition, it has more reasons than one to not back Imran Khan. It accuses the government of a political witch hunt. The latest case is that of Nawaz Sharif, once the Prime Minister of Pakistan, now a declared absconder. Nawaz Sharif was sentenced to jail for 10 years. Then he was allowed to leave prison on health grounds. He's been living in London since. Imran Khan sells Sharif's indictment as one of the biggest achievements of his tenure. He says he's cracking down on corrupt politicians, but this crackdown is selective. Here's a report.
This is the most recent picture of Nawaz Sharif. Last month he was out and about in London, enjoying a stroll in the rain. On first impressions, it looks like Mr. Sharif is enjoying retirement. But in the eyes of Pakistan, this three-time Prime Minister is now an absconder. In November last year, Sharif was given bail to travel to London. His physician said the former Prime Minister was suffering from a complex blockage of arteries that could lead to acute chest pain and even a fatal heart attack. The bail was for 4 weeks. It has been almost a year. Nawaz Sharif hasn't gone back to Pakistan. Now Islamabad has approached London for his extradition. The health of Nawaz Sharif has been an enigma for Pakistan. While his party maintains Sharif hasn't been well, these pictures tell a different story. In January, Nawaz Sharif was spotted at a restaurant in London. He was surrounded by his family members. In May, Sharif was seen once again. He was having tea with his grandchildren in a garden. Sharif was handed a jail term for 10 years in a graft case. His daughter and heir apparent, Maryam Nawaz, was found guilty too. She was sent to jail for 7 years. But in November last year, Maryam Nawaz was granted bail too. Unlike her father, she chose to stay in Pakistan. But that didn't reduce her legal troubles. Last week, she was slapped with terrorism charges, alongside 300 of her party workers. This was over the clashes in August. Last month, Maryam Nawaz had alleged that she was attacked by the police. This was outside the offices of the National Accountability Bureau in Lahore.
ये देखिए मेरी गाड़ी पे पथराव करके पुलिस ने मेरी गाड़ी का शीशा तोड़ दिया और ये एक बुलेट प्रूफ गाड़ी है जिसका शीशा तोड़ दिया है। ये पुलिस पथराव कर रही है, शेलिंग कर रही है नैब के ऑफिस के आगे से कारकुनों को मुंतशिर करने के लिए। ये देखिए ये शीशा टूटा है मेरी गाड़ी का, ये देखिए।
All key members of the Sharif family are now facing legal heat. Maryam Nawaz's husband, Muhammad Safdar, was booked over the August clashes too. He has been given interim bail. Before this case, Safdar was jailed for 1 year in the ongoing anti-corruption case against Nawaz Sharif. Sharif's brother Shahbaz has been booked in 2 corruption cases. Shahbaz Sharif's son Hamza is named in one of these cases too. The Sharif family says these lawsuits are politically motivated and driven by Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan. The Sharifs are responding in kind. In June this year, the Pakistani Prime Minister received a court notice in a defamation case. The lawsuit was filed by Shahbaz Sharif 3 years ago. When Nawaz Sharif left for London last year, many had suggested that the former Prime Minister may have struck a deal with the military establishment. But with the Imran Khan government now moving for the extradition of Sharif Sr., the game is still on. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
So Imran Khan likes to paint himself as the nemesis of corrupt politicians. What about corrupt army officials? He doesn't talk about them. And his government goes after anyone who does. Case in point, Sajid Gondal. We've been reporting on him on this show. He's the Joint Director of the Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan. He went missing last week. The timing was curious. He disappeared right after a major financial scandal came to light. The one involving Major General Bajwa, Imran Khan's top advisor, the man in charge of CPEC and the commander of Pakistan's online troll army. A very important man. The case triggered a storm. Bajwa resigned, but Imran Khan would have none of it. So Bajwa faced no action, but Gundal went missing. His family hit the streets. His wife and 4 children, they exposed the government. This was in Islamabad. And just like that, out of nowhere, Gundal reappeared. Where was he? On a vacation, he says. Couldn't contact the family due to poor network. He must have been vacationing under a rock, as his entire country talked about him. Anyway, nobody is buying that story. Most Pakistani reports say that Sajid Gundal was abducted, a classic case of targeting the whistleblower. So much for Imran Khan's fight against corruption.